Another difference for physiosorption, low temperature is favorable. We have already seen it, that if the temperature will increase, the delta G has to be negative, right? The delta G has to be negative. Enthalpy change, you just saw, it is less negative for the physiosorption. So lower temperature is favored. Why? Because the entropy was also negative, right? So that is why the physiosorption is preferred at the low temperature. But you will see that chemisorption is very differently dependent on the temperature. Now let's look into it. For chemisorption, high temperature is favored. It increases with the increase of temperature initially and then decreases as the bonds start to get break, right? What we mean over here, why does it is happening at the higher temperature? Why chemisorption is happening at the higher temperature? Very good question which can be asked in the CBSE. The reason is simple, that for the formation of a bond, delta H is going to be much more negative than that of the delta H for the physiosorption, right? So that is why, since your delta H is more and more negative than that of the physiosorption, that is why at even higher temperature chemisorption can occur. Also, if I use the chemical kinetics, right, the first explanation which I gave you, it is according to the thermodynamics. If I tell you according to the chemical kinetics, what will be the case? It's simple. So just to do a chemical reaction, you have to supply some minimum amount of energy, and for chemisorption, since the bonds are forming, that energy is in the form of temperature. So at higher temperature chemisorption is favored. Let's see the next point of difference. That is, in physiosorption, appreciable activation is involved. No appreciable energy is involved. In chemisorption, high activation energy is involved. Why? Because the bonds are forming. For physiosorption, high pressure is favorable. Decrease in pressure causes desorption, right? If the pressure will be high, your gas molecules will be having more interactions with the surface of the adsorbent, and once you will release the pressure, the gases will start to desorption, to show desorption, right? Which you have understood in the previous slides. In the chemisorption, again, with increase of pressure, chemisorption is going to increase, but when you will release the pressure, it will cause no desorption. Why? Because the bonds have formed, right? Bonds cannot be broken just by lowering the pressure, right? Like right now I'm in a room and even I cause a vacuum in it, it's not going to happen that this particular tablet is going to break away or anything is going to break away. So that is why the pressure helps in the chemisorption. Once pressure increases, chemisorption increases. But if chemisorption has occurred and you make vacuum, nothing is going to happen. The still gases are going to be adsorbed on the surface, because this is chemisorption, right? Moving further, physiosorption depends on the surface area. It increases with increase of surface area. Obviously, more is surface area, more the number of particles on the surface, right? That is more adsorbent particles. More the adsorbent particles, more will be your extent of adsorption. While in case of chemisorption, also depends on the surface area. It also increases with increase in surface area, right? So it is increasing. So on surface area, they both are equally dependent. In physiosorption, multi-layer formation at high pressure. In chemisorption, only unimolecular layer, right? What we mean by unimolecular layer, just one layer of atoms will be present on the adsorbent surface. No more gas can be adsorbed. Once the site is being captured, no more gas can come over it. But in case of physiosorption, you will see that it causes multi-layer, right? And the above layers, right? First layer is always which is closest to the adsorbent. It is going to be in the solid. The layers which are forming above it, they are going to be in the liquid phase, right? We'll be discussing it later in this chapter.